All right. Welcome to the second episode of Backseat Thriver. I think it's safe to say, there's our hype music. Thank you, Raul. Raul, can you give can everyone see you back there? I want everyone to see Raul's face. He's our hype man right now. Thank you, Raul. Hey, David. Okay, we got our guys back there helping us out, hyping us up, getting us ready for this, but we are so ready. We have so much to yap about, and I'm stressed that we're not going to have enough time. But before we jump into today's topic, which is, are midlife crises real, or do we just use them as an excuse to justify dumb shit?
Oh, this is going to be a good one,
right? It's going to be a good one. So we're gonna get to that. But how did you sleep last night? Bridget is really into the stars and the full moon and all that, so she was prepping me for what I need to know.
I did. Okay, so there's a cosmic pool somewhere in the universe when it comes to me, and like anything that happens with the moon, anything that happens with planetary alignment, like I'm so into that, like totally into the zodiac, and I'm dorking out about that. So I think one of our podcasts needs to be like a local astrologist that's going to come in here and like read our signs or something.
Is astrology and astronomy
two totally different things?
Cool.
But I think astrology pulls off of astronomy because it's planet. Okay, so planetary alignment. All that being said, last night was it was a super moon, the biggest moon of the year, and I can't sleep. Like, I can never sleep on a full moon. I'm tossing, I'm turning, I'm up. You can, it's illuminating your room. So I was texting Chris here and like, hey, are you affected by full moon?
Did you just call me Chris? I don't think you've ever called me Chris.
Chris.
You kind of took me back a little bit.
Did I? CJ, Chris, Christina.
I don't
just
know
kind of what
I
comes
am.
out.
Okay. All right. Continue. Sorry.
So I asked her, like, are you affected by the full moon? She's like, what'd you tell me?
What? Huh?
What? Huh?
I don't know.
Why would I be affected by the full moon?
Right, like it's bright.
So over the years, I've done like a ton of research, but ultimately it affects women. It impacts their sleep, their hormones, their cycles. More babies are born on a full moon. Crazies are coming into the hospital, into the ER. And apparently men just kind of sleep right through this.
Sounds about right.
And it's the best sleep you've ever had. So what did your watch tell you this morning?
Okay, so I went to bed thinking of you. I told my son, I was like, hey, Bridget tells me that men are going to sleep good tonight and women are not going to sleep good. So I wake up and I look at my watch. I slept poorly. And I was like, of course.
It just says poorly.
Poorly. You suck. So I asked my husband, I go, how'd you sleep last night? I didn't mention any of this to him.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I got a 90 on my sleep score. Best I've slept in a while. And I'm just like, cool. Bridget was right. I asked my son, how'd you sleep? Horrible, Mom. I was awake all night. So I guess Bridget was half right and half wrong because you slept good. I was like, no. So anyways, I didn't sleep good, but
You didn't sleep good.
But he didn't sleep good.
Yeah,
So
it's awful.
But also, I kind of like this starting off, and I saw this there was this incredible physician I was watching speak, and he said, instead of asking my friends, how are you today? I just ask them, how did you sleep last night? Because their response, I will find out far more. Like, Bridget, you're being a little salty with me this morning, so I'm going to just go ahead and say, how'd you sleep? You're going to say, like, crap. All right, I'll give you a little grace for that,
I didn't have my silk pillowcase. Right.
Oh, it's so good. If you guys are not sleeping with a silk pillowcase, go get one. It is a game changer. I fought it for a while. I'm so into it.
I see, and I still haven't bought one. Like I'm not there yet. I don't believe all the hype of a silk pillowcase. Like, it's supposed to make your skin better and your hair better.
I don't know if any of that's true. All I know is it's soft as hell when you're laying on it. I just feel like a king.
I'm just picturing like silk clothing in Arizona. Like, it sticks to you.
Yeah.
You're sweaty. It's your armpit stains. You see it all. It's absolutely awful. So I'm only like envisioning, okay, I'm perimenopause, going into that menopausal phase. So I like sweat a lot through the night. Is that silk pillowcase just going to be like the worst thing ever?
It disintegrated.
It's gone. It's gone. It's just goo now.
Oh boy. Okay. So I'm glad that, the full moon kept us honest with our crap sleep.
Exactly.
I just want to, can we get the camera on Bridget for a second? Because I have a question that I need to ask. Thank you. So, but as we get into our topic, this midlife crisis, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question that everyone is dying to know. The fuck is on your shirt? Like,
okay.
What's going on?
Okay. So those that are in my age range and that actually woke up to Saturday morning cartoons in their childhood.
Is this like the 70s, 80s? Where are we at here?
Okay. So anyways, this is She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Okay.
The sister of He-Man.
Okay.
Every guy out there, I think, knows who He-Man is. And I feel that every woman out there should know who She-Ra is.
Okay.
And I love this shirt because it's empowering. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're talking about today with midlife crisis, is this just a dumb excuse to do shit? With a midlife crisis, I think you can look at this in like really two different ways.
Okay.
Is this a super traumatic event and, I'm going to change everything? Or am I going to take these changes and am I going to learn from them? Am I going to grow from them? Am I going to empower me? Mm-hmm. And I felt that this was just like the perfect shirt.
So you are so on
female empowerment.
All right.
Theme.
All right.
And I'm like, just how can that not make you happy? I mean, like Pegasus and a woman with a sword. And it's just.
Let's go, She-Ra.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
You can just call me She-Ra for the rest of the podcast.
I'll try to remember that.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get into what we're talking about today because we've got some so let's start with the most basic question. Is a midlife crisis real? So it's not an actual diagnosis. Nobody gets diagnosed as, okay, thanks for coming today. That'll be $150 and you're having a midlife crisis.
Right.
Maybe that's more like the therapy bill and that would be fine. But there's no real diagnosis. It's more, there's a lot of evidence of here's what it looks like and here's what it doesn't look like. So we found a lot of interesting stuff about this as we're doing our research on this. And I think one of the things that I was surprised to know is how different they show up for men and women.
What is your typical, like when you think back to midlife crisis, what is the vision that immediately comes to mind?
An old man with a 20-year-old on his arm in a Corvette, like looking so ridiculous.
Half of the clientele at La Encantada.
Right. So
no, but that's really an opportunity. Like, are you sitting outside? Like, did you see the car roll up?
Yeah.
And you like instantly wait for who's going to pop out of the passenger side.
Yeah.
Is it somebody of the same age or is it somebody in their 20s?
Is this, I mean, we can people watch a midlife crisis all day long.
All day long. All day long.
So, okay. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting is it's not just men. When you look at that stereotypical thing, there's so much more to it. And I don't know about you, but I got a little sad when I was reading this. Like I almost felt sorry for everyone really going through that. So let's get a few facts out of the way. When we're talking about midlife, we're talking about 40s to 60s. Is that roughly what your research showed?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and it's really going to depend on, where you are at culturally too. Most of us as Americans we're living to a much, older age where what was it? 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100 years ago, 70 to 80 was tops.
That's even like way tops. It was more like 50, 60.
So octogenarians it's common. Centurions still,
I love it when you use those big words, Bridget.
You like it? Centurions.
Say it again.
And those are people who live past 100. Mostly not in the United States, and if they are living in the United States, it's because they're transplant from another area of the country. A lot of them are in Italy. You find a lot of your centurions in Italy. You find them a lot in Asia, And, whether that's due to diet and exercise, that's another podcast. But I think, when you look at midlife, it really depends on your culture, and it depends on, your status, your gender status. But yeah, I would say in most cases, most of the research that we did, 40 to 50 is your midlife range.
Okay. So then a lot of what we were reading is the midlife crisis only happens to about 10 to 20% of people. So that made me feel a little bit better. I mean, our audience, and very well, I'm not in my 40s yet. So clearly we're not talking about me today. So I'll really lean on you for that.
But I feel like you've kind of gone through an early midlife crisis.
Well, that's probably fair. Yeah, that's probably a fair one.
You're just starting off early.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm quite punctual, as you know. So let's talk about the U shape, because I really liked that analogy. Well, it wasn't really even an analogy, but that a midlife, the crisis tends to follow this U-shaped curve where your happiness peaks earlier on in life and later on in life. And there's this dip in your 40s to 50s where you're sort of at your all-time low. And that makes perfect sense if you think about it. And we'll get into the woman piece of that, but think about when you're in your 40s to 50s, your kids are at the most painful age where they don't stop talking back, as you know. You're potentially looking at a career change. Like, all of the huge things are happening. The mounting pressure for work. Maybe you just bought that dream house. Like, all of the big stuff. So it kind of makes sense that you get in that range and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
And it is. And financially, it's a real pivotal place too, because if you are raising kids and you had children early on in your early 20s, you're looking at college. And you're looking at not only college, if you're helping, if you're financially set enough to be able to help your child, pay for college or any higher level of learning. But now you're looking at, I need to pay for my retirement also. I need to make sure that I have this bank. And then in this era, in this day and age, we're looking at our parents. We're the generation, it's either the sandwich generation, the donut generation, where we're carrying...
Wait, what's the donut? I know sandwich.
Where we're in the middle.
Oh.
And they're on the out, our family is on the outside, and it's like you have one half is your children and you have the other half that's your parents. So it's very much that, we're in the middle of these two very pivotal moments of our life where we're still caring for our kids and working for their future. And now we're going to start caring for our parents, and what does their future look like? And then what have we done? What have we done to get to this point? And I think that goes for both genders, both male and female.
Yeah, it's disproportionately so much higher in midlife that you're suffering anxiety, alcohol addiction, poor sleep, just like chronic problems.
Yeah.
And based off everything, like, I'm starting to feel a little anxious right now based on everything we're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is life, right? Like, you can't escape it. I don't care who you are. That everybody has a point in life where they're sitting back and saying, did I make the right decisions? Am I where I want to be? And there was this really cool quote that Victor Hugo said that midlife is, and I'm gonna paraphrase it, but basically you've been climbing this hill and you get to the top of the hill and you see the other side and you don't like it. And when you're just going, oh my gosh, like, all of the decisions I've made, did I do everything wrong? And it's this awareness of your own mortality, right? You hit your 40s and 50s. Hopefully your parents haven't passed, but a lot of people's has. Your friends' parents start passing, and you get that sense that your own mortality is coming. And as much as we ignore it and don't think about it, there comes a point where you've finished half your life, and what are you going to do with the other half? And so it is kind of an, oh shit.
Yeah. No, it totally is. And when we look at midlife, we laugh about menopause, right? But menopause and mano-pause, the actual definition for menopause is andropause. And that's where, as as women, we start losing estrogen. As men, you start losing testosterone. And historically, this has been okay. This has been okay for men. It's been, we knew that, he left. He's pulling up in a sports car. He's having a midlife crisis. Yep. We know that. But as women, it's like we don't have as much spotlight on a midlife crisis as guys do. Because we're crazy. We're going through menopause. Oh, no. It's not a midlife crisis. She's just going crazy. And, for generations, it was women were, put in asylums and they were mad. No, they were just losing estrogen.
It was so simple. I couldn't figure that out.
Simple. But I think, as women going through a midlife crisis, we're going from taking care of everyone else to finally hitting that point where I need to start taking care of myself. I feel like I'm at that point. I feel like I'm hitting that point, not of a midlife crisis, but just midlife changes. And, my youngest is going to be leaving the nest in the next year if he plays this card right. And, my husband and I, we're looking at, oh my gosh, this is going to be our opportunity to do new things and incorporate, new adventures and experiences. And it's why we're sitting here today. Where I'm doing something new that I never thought I would do, and that's co-hosting a podcast with you. And that's where I'm like, you need to find something to fill that time, and that self-reflection is this. Right.
Well, and so you're talking about women always being the caretakers, right? And of course, that's not 100% the case. I married a man who has been a single dad since his girls were 2 years old, and he has done it by himself for the last 13 years with no other parent, right? So of course there's exceptions to the rule. But typically women are the one we talked about that mental load in the last episode, that women have got the 9 to 5 and then they've got the 5 to 9. It doesn't end. Everybody constantly needs. So last night, everybody gets home. It's 7:30 at night. I'm getting my kid showered and, okay, now you got your 20 minutes of reading. And I said, I'm going to go outside for 5 minutes and I just need to reset my brain. Like, just give me 5 minutes. And he's like, Mom, why can't I come with you? And I said, because you got 20 minutes of reading. Just sit tight. I'm going to take 5 minutes. Well, Mom, why can't I sit with you for 5 minutes? Why? I just want to be near you. And I'm such an asshole. I'm so sorry. And I just looked at him and I was like, sit inside. I'm taking 5 minutes. And he's like, okay, I guess my mom just doesn't love me. She doesn't want me for 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the drama with this boy. And I went outside for 5 minutes. And then, of course, I started feeling guilty. So I walk inside. I'm like, hey, boy, you can come outside now. And he's like, no, I'd hate to get in the way of your 5 minutes. No, you just go, Mom. I'm like, okay, right? So we can't even take 5 minutes to go outside.
But the fact that you consciously thought that and you did that. And I think that's a start, right? 5 minutes. And, you had mentioned this earlier. You don't need 2 hours. You don't need 2 days of time to yourself. Just even 5 minutes of, let me just step outside and breathe. Yeah. Just 10 minutes of self-care. And, whether that's going and, putting on a facial mask or,
painting your nails,
doing a lip scrub while you're boiling water, getting dinner ready. I mean, for the last 15 minutes, I've been doing Kegels here. That's self-care. I mean, come on now.
See, for anybody who's going to say that they don't have the time or money, that is not an excuse, okay? You have 5 minutes, or you can do Kegels, whatever you want. It's free. We are not talking. I think that it's so difficult when people are like, must be nice to be able to get a workout in or whatever. And like, let's not even go with the workout because I hate working out, but to, I don't know, stare at the stars, whatever it is, you have to prioritize that. If you can't, like, you are on your path to that 10 to 20% of midlife crisis. If you can't find 5 minutes in a day to just breathe, to just look outside, to do whatever it is. So, I think there's a lot to be said for that. So that's one of the things we want our listeners today to think about is what's something, free or not, I don't care. Spend as much money as you want, responsibly, of course. But what's something free or just a little thing that's going to make you feel good?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does. When we look at, as you're talking about spending money and you're talking about, what does self-care look like? Is it stepping outside and taking a breath? Is it putting, doing a facial nightly? Is it working out? Is it all of these things? And I think that, what you're doing is really focusing on yourself and bringing those good aspects of life back to you, and not for everybody else. It eventually spread to everybody else, but to you. But I think, when we look at cost, everybody thinks that there's a cost that comes to health, and there's not. So we'll get back to that in just a few minutes after this commercial break.
Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us, 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Calling all families. The Marana Pumpkin Patch is your ticket to fall fun for everyone, from toddlers to grandparents. We've got it all. Jumping pillows, a diesel train, a super slide, and more. Kids will love our farm animals, while adults will love our famous corn maze. And don't forget our 70-acre pumpkin patch from Post Farms. Marana Pumpkin Patch, where families make unforgettable fall memories. Tickets available now at maranapumpkinpatch.com.
Okay, back from that break.
So we're back. So I think where we had left off was...
you think, Bridget, it was like 40 seconds ago.
I know.
Did you get your vitamins in today?
I did not have my dose of estrogen this morning. I did not. But, as we're talking about midlife crisis and we're talking about all the different changes that happen as men and women, I think culturally, the United States is so much more focused on age than any other area,
hands down,
of the world, and ultimately we've have a very negative view on aging. We've glorified youth, and that comes with there's so many things we could add to this. There's what we do for vanity, there's Botox, there's, all of the procedures that we do for our face, what we do, hair transplants, men and women.
I knew you had one. Nobody gets luscious locks like that naturally.
Do you realize how expensive that is?
No.
I have 3 kids in college. No, I cannot do hair transplants. No, maybe.
I mean, I didn't actually think you would
guys,
do one.
When I go through midlife crisis, I will now afford hair transplant. Hair extensions for women, hair transplant for men.
Did you watch Arrested Development?
I can pull on it.
Oh,
it's good.
is my hair
good.
sticking out? Okay.
I didn't, but I do love Justin Bateman.
Okay, well, who you should be loving is Tobias Funke. He's the never nude on Arrested Development, but he got a hair transplant, and it was like the most awful thing. Like just like bloody holes all in his head, like I mean, it was terrible. And then he got like some weird sepsis, something or what's after.
That sounds awful, but probably a true story.
It probably happens a lot. And then, okay, I'm not going to take us down a total rabbit hole, but along the lines of what you're saying, this I wouldn't even call it medical tourism because it's elective. This elective medical tourism where people are flying to Turkey and to talk about all. I know so many people who go to Mexico.
Yeah.
For all kinds of procedures.
Yeah.
And that comes with its own risks and costs and everything. So
you got to do your research.
It is crazy. This is society pushing this on us. Like we are not okay enough. We are not pretty enough. We are not skinny enough. All of these things. And I hate so much that this is what our kids are learning.
No, it totally is. And when you look at I did not grow up with a cell phone. I did not have.
Well, that's because they didn't exist.
You just need to shut up right now. So I did not have a cell phone. I didn't get a cell phone. I did not have my own cell phone until I was like 24, 25 years old. And I was working in a profession where I had to have one. And now, like our kids, this is a selfie generation. And I get why there are so many insecurities. I mean, just before we started the show, Christina and we've got our phones and we're like, oh God, how's her hair look? Oh gosh, this looks awful. Oh, I don't care. We'll just deal with it.
Roll with it.
We had no idea what we looked like until the pictures came back. And it was like you almost had like a picture party because you waited like 2 or 3 days for your film to develop at Walgreens, and then you got them and you've got like half your face missing. All you see is a hand.
A blur.
It's blurry. But this generation...
Occasionally someone took a picture of their junk and that was secretly tossed in there.
Exactly.
What an unpleasant surprise.
You were mortified. It was horrific if something went through. And or if you were one of those bad kids that, you took some of those risque pictures and you're like, oh, did Walgreens actually do this? Am I going to get called
The guy
for
winks
this?
at you when he hands you your photos.
He's waiting for you. But I do, this generation and even us now, the more that we're on our phones and the more that we're, just even being live on a podcast is so different than just the audio version. It does bring on different stressors and you feel more self-conscious about, is somebody judging me? Is somebody looking at me? And we were looking at, as we were doing some of this research, like the American Society of Plastic Surgery in the U.S. alone, over 26 billion. I said billion with a B, like B as in boy, is spent on plastic surgery and other cosmetics. And the Botox injury is over 4 billion.
So that's not even...
Just think about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's in the U.S. I know I've contributed a couple $100s to that a few years
Just a couple
back.
hundred?
Just a couple hundred.
Okay, all right.
I can't afford that stuff.
Okay.
I have 4 kids. This will be my opportunity, guys, my self-reflection in this next phase of life. If you see me and my forehead is just totally just
smooth as butter.
Smooth, and I've got, super good cheeks and a good chin, I had good work done.
Okay. You'll let us in on the secrets?
No, you guys are just going to have to let me know. Like,
all right.
Oh, it's either botched or it's going to be really good, one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do. I think just culturally, when we look at, vanity and when we look at what aging means to this society, it's huge. It's a big deal. And how do we really embrace that? But as we're talking about our kids and we're talking about us as adults going through these pivotal stages, there have been some pivotal moments throughout our life where we really did some stupid shit.
So that kind of takes us to do we give enough credit to it being a midlife crisis, or is this just this cyclical part of life where you hit puberty and you're doing dumb shit? You get your driver's license, you're doing dumb shit. You turn 21, you get married, you have kids, and the dumb shit doesn't go away.
No.
Right?
It doesn't.
And you hope that you just continue to learn from it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
True.
But I'd love to hear about some of your shenanigans as a wee one. If you're brave enough to share.
I am. I think probably one of the most pivotal moments in my younger years as a teenager. So, Mom, you're going to love this one. I was grounded from staying the night at somebody's house from the time that I was a freshman until I graduated high school.
Now, when you say somebody, do you mean one particular person or anyone?
Anyone.
Okay, so you could not sleep over anywhere. Freshman.
I could not stay the night
What
at
did you
anybody's
do?
house until I graduated high school.
Oh my gosh.
I think the most impressive part about it is that she stuck to her guns. Unless they were leaving town, then I only had it was my best friend, and I was only allowed to stay at her house. But I was grounded. I convinced my mom to let me go hang out with my friends. And I was like, we'll just be hanging out at her house. Yeah. And I honestly thought that was how it was going to be. It was like, all my girlfriends are having a sleepover. Please, 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 can I be a part of this? And then that, sleepover at a girlfriend's house ended up being an all-night rager where I learned that wild turkey was not good for my system. And I still cannot drink whiskey to this day. But my mom has always had this psychic connection with me. At 3:00 in the morning, she starts blowing up the phone of my friend. And she's calling and calling and calling and no answer. Finally, her mom wakes up and she's like, I have no idea where the girls are. I got home around midnight and they're nowhere to be found. My mom's like, oh, okay, can you just leave them a note to have them call me when they get in the morning?
What a horrible feeling.
So needless to say, I'm thinking, I got away with it. I got to go out, got to party, got to do, Mom's never going to know. We roll in at 7:30 in the morning. We had pulled an all-nighter. Roll in at 7:30 in the morning, and there's a Post-it note that says, tell Bridget to call her mom. She's left a few messages. And I listen to the messages, and my stomach tightens up. You get, that frog in your throat, and I am just horrified by what I'm hearing. She's like, hey, it's Mom. Just give me a call when you get in. And I'm like, I know what that means. So I call her. She's like, I'm on my way. I'm like, oh, dear God. I was still drunk.
You had to have been.
I had to have been. And so she picks me up and she was just like, where were you? I was like, oh, we went out. And she goes,
we went to IHOP.
we went out, and she was just like, oh, okay. We'll talk about this when we get home. I'm like, all right. So it was just the car ride is totally silent the whole way home. We get home. I think that I'm out of the clear. I climb into bed, get ready to sleep off my night. And she comes in with the cleaning bucket and the vacuum cleaner. And she was just like, you're cleaning the house today. And oh, by the way, you're grounded for the rest of your life until you graduate high school from staying the night at somebody's house. So then after that, my curfew was 10:30 until I was 18. All my friends were like, it sucks to go out with you. We have to leave so early. But it kept me out of trouble for a while.
Yeah.
And go mom, right?
Man.
But I think, that was probably one of my most pivotal moments as a youth that I need to get my shit together.
Yeah. Now, what about since you're well in your midlife, love you. What do you have things now? So I think one of the most interesting pieces of this is we talked about this a little bit, how differently a midlife crisis can present in men versus women. And I don't want this is certainly not a man bashing thing.
Sure.
It's very valid, I think, what a lot of these men feel when they peak and go, oh my gosh, all of the things that I thought were important are not to me anymore. And now I want the opposite of the life that I have. And it's devastating, right? I know many people who that's kind of how it presents. And with women, the midlife crisis is hormonal, right? It's not even this conscious
100%.
decision of, is this the life I wanted? It's, okay, now my hormones are raging and this is playing a huge role. And now I have increased depression, anxiety. And how do you even have time for a midlife crisis? Because you are at the peak of everybody needing everything and continuing to care for everyone. And so it's just really interesting what very different stories we're telling here.
Absolutely. And it is. And I think, as you're saying, as in my elder years, in my
Elder
prime,
Bridget.
I'm going to call it my prime. I think I've really learned a lot. My husband now has, like I shared on our last podcast, he is the ultimate optimist. And so thankful for everything. And that's where I think, as your state of mind plays a big part in whether you have a midlife crisis, whether you have midlife events, whether you're just, peaking at your midlife, whatever that may be, but he's really taught me to focus on the good. Our kids are healthy. We have food on our table. We're blessed to be able to do Uber Eats or do takeout, whatever it may be. Whatever, but looking at the positive, not constantly. What's wrong in my life? What's wrong in my life? Why is this so sad? What happened to me? It's no, just not that you need to put those away, but really compartmentalize that. Like, is this something that you can really control? And do you have control over these actions that are making you really sad or impacting your life? And if you don't, then why are they there? And really focus on what you have control over and what you can do. And, whether that's, financially, whether that's health, whether that's spiritually, making new friends, whatever that may be. But before we get to that point, you really glossed over your youthful shenanigans. So
I just see that we've got about 23 minutes left. So I just didn't want us to get caught up in that kind of stuff.
You're so full of it. We're going to ask Mom to call in. Hey, Mom, can you tell us, Chris?
My parents would say, I think, like my brother, you took he took the attention of the bad stuff. I never snuck out of my house.
Did you sneak anybody in?
No.
Oh. Don't lie.
I don't know. That could be a lie. But I never snuck out. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. When my cousin and I, we're about a month apart, and we both got our driver's licenses, and the big thing that we did is we went to Funtastics with a garbage can full of water balloons, and we were just chucking them over at the people riding the go-karts. And looking back, I'm like, that's horrible. If I pictured my son and I like riding and just get hit in the face with a water balloon. Who does that? It's so rude.
Funtastics, it was her.
I'm so sorry if I hit you. We did get chased by a guy one time. He was really mad, and that was a little dicey. But our 16-year-old experience, we got out of that situation, no problem.
But it's like, but your parents didn't have tabs on you,
right? And that was I think I got it was the Nokia brick phone when I turned 16. That's all there was, and I had a pager before that, and I thought that was pretty awesome. I'd be like, "Oh, you need to talk, page me." Did you ever have a pager?
No.
Oh, well, why do you say it like that? They were so cool.
No, because you always had to go find a payphone, and you had to have quarters.
But it just felt cool, like somebody wanted to reach you.
No.
Yeah.
All right. They're pretty signals back in our day. Like that was literally like how we found parties. So if you grew up in Arizona or if you grew up in Tucson, it was desert parties.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You were out in the boonies and, you're looking for smoke signals and somebody somewhere told you that, all right,
around this area,
you're going to go all the way up Silver Bell and you're going to find the biggest cactus and then take 2 rights after that and just go all the way down the desert. And by that time, you're just looking for smoke.
Yeah.
Like, where's the smoke?
Yeah.
No, I did not have a pager. My girlfriend did. Yeah, my best friend had a pager.
Of course
so
she
it was
did.
like,
There's something I have in common with your friend.
yeah, you guys were cool.
How about that? No, and there wasn't, we didn't do a whole lot of bad stuff. And maybe we did, but it didn't feel that bad compared to today's day and age. I'm going to date myself, right? Because it's unbelievable what's happening today. However, that's an entire other episode. We have an entire other episode of how do you make friends at this age, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more about all of those things. We're going to take a quick break.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltoalan.com. Again, that's selltoalan.com.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, coppercreekcookies.net.
Calling all families. The Marana Pumpkin Patch is your ticket to fall fun for everyone. From toddlers to grandparents. We've got it all. Jumping pillows, a diesel train, a super slide, and more. Kids will love our farm animals, while adults will love our famous corn maze. And don't forget our 70-acre pumpkin patch from Post Farms. Marana Pumpkin Patch, where families make unforgettable fall memories. Tickets available now at maranapumpkinpatch.com.
Hey, I just want to let everyone know that I was one of the guys that was hit by one of those balloons. So thanks, dude. Yeah, look.
Raul, I'm so sorry. I'll make it up to you.
I was traumatized. I never went back.
He has a traumatic brain injury from a water balloon. He was hospitalized for a few days. Way to go.
You know what? I feel terrible, but Raul was saying during the break that he thinks that we should skydive, like talk about midlife crisis, going skydiving. I have no interest in that. No, you don't get hype music. No interest.
No hype.
Okay, Raul wants to do it. Bridget, what about you?
No, I do. I think it's taking action, right? So how we're taking action in this next phase of our life. And what does that look like? For Raul, at his midlife crisis in his early 20s, that's skydiving. Maybe I don't want to.
I gotta jump in on this.
Please,
midlife crisis.
Let's hear it.
It's just fun to do crazy stuff. Come on.
Is it though?
See? But okay, so then that validates you don't need a midlife crisis to do crazy shit.
Okay, I think that's fair.
You will just do them to feel invigorated.
Okay.
Right?
Raul, we're looking at you. Although,
Yeah,
David, you put two hands up. I don't know if that means, is that a yay? Is that a nay? Where are we at on skydiving?
Are you skydiving?
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
He said no.
Absolutely
All right.
not. Okay, I have to share this story, and maybe this will make you think twice, Raul, but probably not, you little young buck. But my sister's old boyfriend, he went skydiving. He was a healthy young man. The parachute didn't open. He broke his arms, all of them, his legs, all of them, and like everything in his body. I mean, and he lived.
What?
How horrible is that? That's horrible. Like, why?
Wow.
And I get, and I've heard the argument of, well, you're just as much danger of driving a car. Yeah, but I'm getting in the car to go to work, to pick up my kid, whatever it is. Like, driving is a part of life, right? It's unavoidable for most people. Skydiving, it's like an elective facelift, right? Like, I don't have to do it. And I might come out looking a lot worse than I did before. Okay?
It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
I'm just not interested.
And it is one of my son's closest friends. He's very outdoorsy. He is like an ex-gamer. He's where everything that they do is very extreme. Okay. Right? And
are you talking like video gamer?
No, like
extreme, game hunting?
Extreme sports.
Okay.
Maybe I used the wrong word.
Well, I don't know. You're smarter than me, so I just like to make sure I
have my moments. My coffee's kicking in.
Okay.
So it's the extreme sports. It's skydiving. It's
bungee
jumping. It's climbing without a rope. It's rock climbing. Like free climbing, things like that. Or, things that put you, like you said, like in an unnecessary
risk
and could be incredibly dangerous. And you should probably let somebody know before you do it.
Yeah.
But to see like all of that, like to see his post and things like that, it's invigorating. I see why they do it.
I don't.
I'm just scared to death. Like I can't do it. I get to the edge. I had probably within the last 20 years, I now have a fear of heights. Like, I cannot step to the edge and look over confidently. I feel that there will be a massive gust of wind that will fling me over that safety rail and throw me into the Grand Canyon. Like, that is a fear that I have.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah, it's a legit fear. But there are so many people that will, during these midlife crisis times, will take on these new hobbies or take on these new risks that they've never done before. And
which flash forward to, I think, maybe episode 12, where we're going to have a pharmacist on here, and she's going to be talking about what medications to not F around with, but also how to find happiness and when to seek meds. This might be these people that need this constant adrenaline. Maybe consult your PCP and find out, like, how are my thyroids? Are they okay? Like, why do I need this constant?
Why am I risking my life for these things?
Like, I yelled at this guy. I didn't yell. It wasn't a yell. I scolded this guy sitting next to me. We were in the airport last weekend, and he was vaping in the airport. And I'm sorry. I hate. Do it outside, but inside, and he's blowing like dragon smoke around my face, all my kids next to me. And I turned and I was like, can you stop vaping in the airport? And that adrenaline, I felt so good. I felt so empowered. And he just looked at me and completely went back to doing it. And I was like, okay, well, I tried. Like, good job. And my kids are like, go report him to security. And I was like, no, I did enough. Like, I feel good about that.
Let's just get up and move.
Yeah. And that's what we did.
Let's move, children.
See, that's a big adrenaline rush for me.
Confronting people?
Yeah. I mean, I don't enjoy it, but I will.
You'll do it?
Yeah.
I'd rather just, it's situational.
I hate injustice. Did I use that word? Did I use that context correctly?
I think you did. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go with it.
If Kate were here, she'd tell me.
She would tell you.
She would tell me. Yeah. Okay.
No, but I do. It is conflict. Is it conflict? Is it, protecting your kids in that situation? Or is it just a constructive conversation that you guys don't see eye to eye on and we just agree to disagree?
Well, perhaps, but I will tell you from a survey sample that was statistically relevant, I asked many of my female friends who have kids, would you skydive? And they're like, oh, hell no. Before kids, absolutely. What did all of their husbands say? Oh, absolutely, I do it. But it was all the women who were like, no, what if something happened to me?
So I was, prior to kids, I was like, if it's my time, it's my time.
As you're down in the wild turkey.
As I'm down in the wild turkey. Like, the Lord will take me. It's my time. If it's my time. And now that I had kids, I am so freaked out about everything. And it's more of the my children will have a life without me if I don't protect myself. And my friends will laugh at me. They're like, oh my God, you are, it's scary to be in your brain sometimes. But, does that happen did that happen because of hormonal changes? Does that happen because now I've just become, this lioness taking care of her children, or, She-Ra protecting the world kind of scenario? But it has, like, if the sun's setting and I'm at the mall, or I'm out and about and my kids were little and, I'm putting them in their car seats. It's like, everybody hurry up and get in the car. Go, go, go. Somebody's going to kidnap you. I think my kids were like terrified of being kidnapped. Probably still are, but we're terrified of being kidnapped.
That is a mom's job, I think, because my mom, I actually just talked to her about this not too long ago. Like, you raised me with constant fear. Every time I would do something, I reached for a hidden key in like a planted potted plant. And she was like, oh, Chrissy, you put your hand in there. A rattlesnake's going to bite you and you're going to die.
Exactly.
You don't have wood bars in all your windows. Someone's going to come in and murder you in your sleep. Oh, you're walking up to your car. Someone's going to slit your ankles and drag you under this. So it's like, I just walk through like who's coming out to murder me, which is why I hate Halloween.
So I did that to my kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, my mom was like, just very free and, come on, let's go, be safe, but didn't instill fear into us. I instilled fear into my children.
And you own it.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I love you. Please watch out for your Uber driver if you're driving alone.
Well,
sweetie.
that's valid. Yeah.
That's valid.
Do you remember when the first time you Ubered, and I think my sisters Ubered with you?
Oh my gosh. I was scared to death.
We were at my house and my sisters Ubered to your house across town and then Ubered back to my house.
Yes.
Did I say no? That is so rude. I was probably like, I'm going to bed. You're on your own.
You did. You're not a very good friend.
That is not a good friend.
I love your sisters.
That was
I love
really
you,
nice of them to do that.
It was. I told them I would pay for it. I was just like, can you guys come with me?
I mean, we talked a lot of shit about you afterwards, obviously.
You guys are assholes. I knew I didn't like you girls. No, just kidding. No, but it's always been a fear of mine that I don't ever want to put myself in that victim situation. And not, it's like, if you come up on me on the street, like, you've got to be a pretty big guy because I'm not a little biscuit.
You're a She-Ra.
I'm a She-Ra. And it's going to take a lot to take me out. And I'm not saying that as an opportunity. But
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. But it is. It's like, why? Why all of a sudden? Like, I spent my whole youth, thinking that I was indestructible. And then I had kids and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not indestructible. The world is out to get us. And is it just a phase that you go through? Is it a protection, mentality that we have? Is it hormones? I don't know what it is. But it's interesting to your point that all of these women, all of these mothers are like, absolutely not. I would not skydive. And then you have all these guys that are like, absolutely, I would.
And then they hear the women, they're like, well, no, I mean, like, of course, like, if you were okay with it.
Yeah.
Right.
If I have your permission, if I've got that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
So I think that, do you think that we've had enough conversation about a midlife crisis in order to say, in our opinion, in the opinion of the Backseat Thriver, are we saying midlife crisis, myth or fact?
I'm going with myth.
Okay.
I'm
like
going
that.
with it's an excuse.
Okay. It is an excuse. We are saying that a midlife crisis is not an excuse. You can't use that phrase as an excuse to do stupid things.
You can't. You're just going to do stupid things by your own choice.
You're going to do stupid things by your own choice.
And
you have plenty of things to blame it on.
And there are midlife events.
Which there are pre-life, young life. What would you call that? Puberty events. There's young adult events. There's old lady and old man events. I stated that so eloquently.
You did.
Old lady events.
Elder events.
Elder events. Okay, so we're just saying like this just cycles through.
And I think generationally, this was okay with our parents. Like in our parents' generation, they were ultra aware of a midlife crisis, that, probably 50% of their friends went through a midlife crisis or their husbands went through a midlife crisis because it wasn't acceptable for women. Or if we did something like that, well then, wow, something is really wrong with her. Why would she do that? If a guy does it, oh, it's a midlife crisis. But I think as generations go on, and in our generation, we are so ultra aware of mental health. And it's probably, I would say probably within the last 20 years that it's okay. It's okay to talk about your mental health. It's okay to talk about your stress. It's okay to say you're going to therapy.
It's okay to say, I'm at this point in my life and I don't like what I see.
Yeah. And I don't like the way I feel. And I think that, it's so much more accepted now than it ever used to be. And I think historically, like, and still now to this day, like as women, we talk about these things. We have our pack, we have our pride, and we can talk about health issues. We can talk about, pains, physical pains, emotional pains. We can talk about our children. We can talk about, any sexual issues that are populating with our own body, changes that we're experiencing. Guys don't have that. It is very...
That makes me really sad for them. It truly does. Do you know, and this is just my own gratitude. I feel so grateful to have the people in my life that I do, because I don't feel like there's anything going on that I don't have someone to go to. And I think you're absolutely spot on. I don't think that's the case with men. So maybe we need to do a show just for men.
I think so.
An episode.
I think and I see it with the men in my family. I see it with my brothers. I see it with my husband. I see it with my sons. They don't have they have groups of friends. They have guys, they have, they go to happy hours and they'll go to movies or they'll go to sporting events. And it's a very testosterone driven type of gathering. But, I'll ask him like, oh, hey, did you ask so-and-so about, how his health is? No. Well, why not? We don't talk about that kind of stuff unless they bring it up.
His wife left him. You didn't ask him how he's doing? No, I didn't want to make him feel bad. Well, what do you know about it? How did it happen? I don't know.
Exactly. So I think we deal with it differently, which is why, the sports cars, the young wives, the dramatic experiences or the, it's very Shakespearean, very theatrical.
So you heard it here first. Backseat Thriver says, midlife crisis, myth or fact? We're going myth, everyone. So get on board with that one. If you disagree, thank you. If you disagree, let us know. So we just have a couple of minutes left. So I want to give our listeners a little bit of what we have coming, how to find us. Shout out to LTD Media for this incredible studio that we're in. If you're not following them on ltd.media on Instagram, get on that now, that you're going to find our content there as well. Also at backseat.thriver on Instagram. So check us out. Next week, we are going to be here, same time, 10 a.m. next Friday, talking about no ego, amigo. We're going to be talking about how the ego really is the thing that can destroy us all, and why it is so crucial that we get that ego in check, because the majority of conflict, the majority of dissatisfaction comes from ego. And we've got to learn how to control that, and the freedom that we're going to feel is going to be incredible. So we've got some awesome guests coming up. What else do we have coming up?
Oh, we're going to have some swag, guys.
Oh, that's right. Swag. What would we be without swag?
What would we be without some Backseat Thriver bestie swag?
Yeah.
Yep.
So find us out. I just got a super cute text from my ex-husband's girlfriend who was like, how do I watch your podcast? I'm your number one fan.
I love it.
So thank you, Sarah. We will be, we just told you how to find us. So make sure you follow ltd.media. Download the app. It's super cool. Lots of good stuff on there. So thank you. This was so fun.
We'll see you next week, guys.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Hi, I'm